Have you ever met somebody who talks about like a bad thing that happened to them when they were a kid, maybe like 10 years ago, 20 years ago, and they say, needless to say, I have anxiety because of that. And you might have empathy for them. You might say like, oh man, yeah. Like you might actually like you might feel like you really relate to them. You might also just hear them and like have this reaction of, oh, I should feel sad for them. I should feel sorry for them. I want to say something that might be like a bit of tough love, in that if something happened 20 years ago, yes, it did happen, and it might have caused anxiety to come up in you and be in you for all these years, and you get triggered by stuff now. But when you're an adult, or at least when you're older, I have no idea who's watching this video. You could be 16, 17, 18, 19, 20 and up. You could be 30, you could be 60. I don't know. But when you're older and you're cognizant, like when you're an adult, a young adult, old adult, whatever, when you're cognizant of or aware of the emotions that are in you and the feelings that are in you, because that's what anxiety is. It's a feeling. And you say like, oh, this happened to me because of this, and I can't do XYZ because of my anxiety. That, I think, is when anxiety becomes a problem. And it is easy for me to sit here and say like, take ownership from it, or take ownership of it, take ownership of your anxiety. What does that actually mean? I don't really know what it means for you, but I guess I'll just share my story on social anxiety. I wanted to make a video today on or actually yesterday and the day before. I've just procrastinated on making this video. I wanted to make a video on when anxiety becomes a problem, or when social anxiety specifically becomes a problem, because that's what I had. And I think it becomes a problem when you say, I can't do XYZ, I can't do this activity because of my anxiety. I discovered when I was in my early 20s that, well, I was aware that I was a shy person. When I was younger, I was very shy, and I would feel this like anxiety and all these like thoughts whenever I was in a social situation. I remember when I did a public speech, or not a public speech, but a speech to the class in public speaking class in high school. I didn't even remember the full first speech that I gave because I was so nervous. My face got all white, and I just like stumbled my way through it and then got back to my seat, and I didn't even remember what I said up there. And by the end of the class, actually, I was still nervous, but I was feeling more like strong. I was feeling more like courageous, and realizing that I was fine, and I could stand up there behind the podium and just kind of like start to relax a bit, start to make eye contact with everybody, take it slow, and just give my speech and say what I needed to say up there, go through my bullet points, look, everybody in the eye, as was part of the speech class. And I actually loved it by the end of it. Now, when I was in college, I don't know I think what sparked me to really change was that somebody told me that some people were getting uncomfortable around me because they could tell I was uncomfortable around them. And I was like, oh my God, this is horrible. I don't want to make people uncomfortable because I'm uncomfortable around people. So I was like, I have to get this handled. And what I started doing was, I was a young man, and I started approaching women on my college campus and just saying hi and like introducing myself, admitting that I have social anxiety and I just like to meet like one new person or two new people or three new people a day to try to overcome it, or to overcome my shyness. And then I started turning that into like, you know what? Okay, now that I'm getting more comfortable approaching people and kind of being vulnerable, and I'm not like hiding my anxiety, I'm just kind of like owning it. I started actually like seeing women that I found attractive, and I would walk up and I would give them a compliment, like saying like, hey, you look, I forgot exactly what I said. I think, hey, I just wanted to say you look really attractive today. Have a nice day. And they would smile, and like I would go about my day and they would go about their day. And eventually, after like a couple months, I started to feel really, really confident there was that high of confidence that I experienced just in the moment too, like right after. Like I felt more confident in class after I had talked to 3 new people on campus on the way to class. It started to make me feel really, really confident. It started to help a lot. And eventually, I went on a couple dates that same year with some women who just, when I was in a conversation with them, we, I guess, somehow hit it off, you could say. Yeah, if you talk to enough people, you'll just eventually meet somebody that's kind of like you or whatever. But looking back on it now, because I was 22, so that was 7 years ago. And looking back on it now, my interpretation of what was happening was I was putting myself in situations that brought up more anxiety. And I knew that at the time, but I was like, it's just funny to view it now, like from the observer mindset and looking back. I was feeling the anxiety come up and just witnessing it. And you kind of teach yourself that it's not really going to hurt you. And even as I say this now, I'm afraid that somebody is going to see this and be like, but it can hurt you. What about the physiology of anxiety in your body? And you're just like, or somebody's going to argue with me and say like, but I physically can't, Troy. I physically can't. And I would say, you're not in control of your legs. You can't walk up to new people and meet them. No, my body would stop me. Would it? I don't know. I understand like getting tensed up and the face turning white, the cold sweats, the shaking, all the thoughts. I understand that. It's like, if you don't believe that you can that you're in control and you can still just go do shit anyways, despite how you feel, I don't know what to tell you. But if you're watching this and you're still watching this video, you're probably really listening to what I'm saying with an open mind. If you haven't already like gone to the comment section or haven't already turned off this video, you're probably really listening to what I'm saying. And that, yes, that anxiety, there's like physical manifestations to it. You like really feel it physically in your body, the anxiety. There's a lot of thoughts. You may be thinking all these things. If you're a really smart person, like me, if you're really smart and you just think a lot, you spend a lot of time by yourself and you think a lot, you probably come up with all these things, all these arguments for what I'm saying, or anybody who says you can still do what you want despite how you feel. And it's not really despite how you feel, while feeling how you feel. The anxiety is a feeling inside of you. It wants to be witnessed. It's there. You can carry that anxiety with you, be friends with it, and it does eventually like disperse or go away. But the first step is really, really not being afraid of that anxiety and like being friends with it and like even causing it to come up. I don't know. I could spit all these beliefs at you and rant at you about your reputation doesn't really matter. Like, what, the world's huge. If one person thinks you're weird, or if a couple of people think you're weird, or even if you go out and you join a public speaking class and you shake and fall over and you embarrass yourself, whatever, what's the worst that could happen? I could say all that stuff, but it would all be coping. It would all be like lulling you into, and like getting you to try to believe that nothing bad's going to happen if you just go and do what you want with your life. But the most important thing that you can do is not all this logical stuff, not really like trying to argue what I'm saying or try to understand why my argument's a good argument. All logic aside, all thoughts aside, just the best thing that you can do right now is sit and feel. Sit and feel yourself. What are you feeling? And then the next time you go out, maybe like 10 minutes from now, after this video, you're going to be outside and you're going to be around people. Like, the best thing you can do is get in your body. Anyway, I think I'm going to title this video, When Anxiety Becomes a Problem / Social Anxiety, or something like that. If you made it to the end of this video, thank you for watching. I appreciate you. Peace.